protesters flooded into the City of London a day after the Prime Minister's warning that mob rule is endangering democratic processes. A combined group of pro-Palestine and climate activists marching through the Square Mile today before linking arms and lying down in Liverpool Street Station. A messy scene causing serious headaches, of course, for commuters rushing for trains. Incidents like these have led Rishi Sunak, the Prime Minister, to demand that chiefs get tough on protesters amid a growing row over weekly demonstrations in the wake of the Israel-Gaza conflict. The arguments have spread to Parliament, where last week's vote calling for a Gaza ceasefire was altered after claims of a growing threat to MPs. Well, joining me now to discuss this is Sun's Deputy Political Editor, Ryan Sabey. Ryan, the words of the Prime Minister Rishi Sunak last night that Britain is falling to mob rule have come under some criticism from some quarters, say it's a bit of an overreaction. The UK has always had protests. It's part of a democracy. Do you think it's fair to say mob rule?
I think it depends on what sort of level you're talking about. I think if you're talking about people not being able to safely walk through the streets on a Saturday afternoon, you know, questions have to be raised, and perhaps police need to sort of be a little bit more sort of even-handed or a little bit more hard-handed with those protesters. But I think what the Prime Minister was really trying to get across was the fact that we don't want to undermine democracy. We want to make sure that all those people who are elected, whether they're MPs, whether they're councillors, they can go about their sort of daily duties and go about their ways of actually representing people. So that's where I really think that he didn't want those people and their daily lives and their actions of what they do to represent people being undermined.
In terms of what the opposition are saying about this as well, because, you know, Labour polling ahead, we've got a general election this year. If they took over power, say Rishi Sunak and his government tried to enact some powers, further powers to limit protests in this country, do you think Labour would continue that?
I think what Labour were trying to say last night, that they sort of agree with the sentiment of what Rishi Sunak was saying, but what they probably didn't really agree with was the language. So I think what you probably may get with a Labour government, if they come in, is just maybe toning down the rhetoric a little bit. But I think they have to be seen to be on the right side of. They want to make sure they're on the right side of the law as well. So I think that they're going to have to get this balance right, I think.
It's going to be a tough tightrope to walk, especially when so many Brits feel completely wedded to the idea of protest as part of our national identity. And a lot of Brits, as you say, feel unsafe at the moment in various parts, various cities for various reasons. One quarter of the population that does feel unsafe as well as MPs. We did a special feature on the show last night about the safety and security of MPs. The Speaker of the House, Lindsay Hoyle, last week raising his concerns, and that's why he amended the ceasefire vote and went against protocol. What are you hearing from your talks in Westminster at the moment? Is there concern?
I think there is concern about their general safety, and that's why you've seen the Prime Minister, you've seen the Home Office put millions and millions of pounds into this over the past few days, just to guarantee their safety. But one thing they don't want to do, Harriet Harman raised the issue of actually having a hybrid system of Parliament. So you go back to those COVID days where you have some voting from home, you have some people taking part in the debates from home. That was quickly shot down by ministers who said this is effectively surrendering to the mob. So they want to create, you know, Parliament should be as it is. And the idea that you give in to people, you don't go into your place of work and you change your routine is just appalling.
And we do need government to function, for the democracy to function. Look, reports from the sacked Independent Inspector on Borders and Immigration out today. There's a lot for the government to be handling. Is it easier then for the government to focus on external protests, if we can call them that, rather than criticism inside?
Yeah, well, it's interesting today that these reports from David Neil. They published 13 of them. It's a big day across the Home Affairs front, and people were saying that, you know, this is a good day to bury bad news. Actually, you get all it out in one go. But that's one thing they have to focus on. They probably want to focus on that mob rule because the language plays into the sort of rhetoric they want to get across. But actually, on the ground, the e-border gates and those passport controls just aren't safe. And as David Neil said, that those borders are just not effective, they're not efficient, and people are almost just, you know, they could just be walking through these gates. It's not particularly savoury. You know, you want our borders to be controlled.
Absolutely. Well, a lot of the country certainly does, and it will be a big part of the election. Ryan Sabey, Deputy Political Editor of The Sun. Thank you.